3 weeks. That's all it took. Just 3 long, unsettling weeks. The story you're about to hear isn't gentle, because it begins with a man who wanted nothing more than to be loved, and it ends with him uncovering a past he was never meant to see. And it all starts with a single moment. One tiny detail. Something so ordinary it should have meant nothing, yet it changed everything Harry believed about the woman he married. Let's go back to the beginning so you can see how it all unfolded. Harry couldn't explain why he kept staring at that photo from Croatia. The yacht pictures had gone viral 3 weeks earlier, yet something inside him refused to let it rest. He would zoom in, zoom out, study it, close it, then return to it again. Over and over. It felt like the image was hiding something from him, something just out of reach, and he could sense it. Then one night, his eyes landed on a detail he had somehow missed every time before. On the deck of the yacht, pushed slightly to the side, sat a small navy blue canvas bag. Nothing flashy, nothing attention-grabbing, but the gold lettering on the front hit him like a shock. Soho House. Harry's stomach dropped. This wasn't just a luxury yacht. It was a Soho House member yacht. The same exclusive, invite-only world Meghan had been deeply connected to for years. The same place where every room, every party, every private dinner carried influence. Where conversations weren't casual and nothing was accidental. Suddenly, what once felt like coincidence no longer did. Harry felt his chest tighten. He knew sleep wasn't coming until he understood what this meant. So he opened a new tab, his hands unsteady, and typed 3 names that had never raised concern before. Soho House. Marcus Anderson. Meghan Markle. The results appeared, and Harry felt his blood turn cold. He had always believed Marcus Anderson was just Meghan's eccentric friend from Toronto. A stylish, friendly guy who loved social scenes and knew everyone. But what Harry was seeing now didn't match that image at all. Marcus wasn't just part of the scene. He was something much more than that. He wasn't just around the scene. He was the scene itself. Harry kept digging, scrolling through old social blogs, forgotten interviews, and archived magazine pages buried behind dead links. The kind of pages that don't appear unless you're actively looking for them. Pages you have to chase down. And every one of them told the same story. Marcus wasn't merely a consultant. He was a gatekeeper, an access broker, the man who linked ambitious, attractive women with powerful, wealthy men. He paired actresses with producers, models with investors, unknown faces with established elites. One article summed it up perfectly, calling him the person who ensured the right people crossed paths at exactly the right moment. The pattern became impossible to ignore. Marcus didn't just show up at parties. He built them. Harry leaned back in his chair, his pulse pounding. A wave of embarrassment hit him hard. How had he never questioned it? Marcus always present, sitting front row at their wedding, leaning in during hushed conversations. That constant sense that he was always nearby, always aware. Then a thought landed that shook him even more. What if Marcus wasn't simply Meghan's friend? What if he was managing her path? Harry clicked another link, an old photo archive from Toronto's high society circuit. And that's where everything came apart. The next 6 hours dismantled everything Harry thought he understood about his wife, about their history, even about how their story truly began. He didn't want to accept it. Every part of him searched for another explanation. That the photos, the overlaps, the timelines were just coincidences. Awkward, maybe, but meaningless. That hope disappeared the moment he reached for his phone. Late at night, the house quiet, Meghan asleep. Harry called someone he hadn't spoken to in years. A former Soho House member from his London party days. Someone who knew that world inside and out. Someone who wouldn't sugarcoat the truth. When the man picked up, Harry's voice came out barely above a whisper. "I need to ask you about Marcus Anderson." There was a pause. Long, heavy. Then a sigh. For the next 40 minutes, Harry listened to a reality he was never meant to hear. Marcus Anderson didn't run a social circle. He ran what insiders quietly called a finishing school. Not for manners. Not for etiquette. For access. He looks for women with ambition, the man explained. Women who want to rise. And then he prepares them. He teaches them how to dress. How to speak. How to move through powerful rooms without drawing the wrong attention. He brings them into Soho House. Gives them the right connections. Introduces them to men who can change their future. He's deliberate. Harry sat completely still, barely breathing. Marcus isn't just connected, the man went on. He has access to schedules, guest lists, private events. He knows where certain people will be and when, and he uses that knowledge to create opportunities. Harry stared at the wall as the final pieces quietly slid into place. Marcus had been there all along. Polo matches in 2013, charity galas in 2014, London events where Harry appeared in the background, and Marcus was never far away. Always nearby, always observing, always connected. And Meghan, it turned out, had been part of Marcus's world long before Harry ever entered the picture. She hadn't just met him. She'd been shaped by that world. That was when the friend said something that made Harry's stomach drop. Marcus doesn't just introduce people, Harry. He places them. The words made him feel physically ill. Once Harry grasped what Marcus really did, another question began to gnaw at him. How had Meghan afforded any of this? The nonstop flights across Europe, the designer wardrobes, Soho House memberships in multiple cities, five-star hotels during yacht weeks, her constant presence at elite events Marcus curated. Harry knew her television salary. He knew what she realistically earned, and the numbers didn't make sense. Not even close. So he reached out to someone still connected to Soho House Toronto. The conversation was quiet, cautious, and what Harry learned made his hands go cold. Meghan's membership hadn't been discounted. It hadn't been partially covered. It was fully comped. For 5 years, she hadn't paid a single membership fee. When Harry asked who sponsored her, the contact hesitated. One long pause. Then another. Finally, in a tense voice, the man said, Marcus has ways of making sure certain women get access. Corporate accounts. Anonymous approvals. No questions asked. Someone had been investing in Meghan. Someone had been paying for her ascent. Someone had been funding her transformation from a cable TV actress into a polished global socialite who moved effortlessly through elite rooms. Harry grabbed a pen and started doing the math. Flights between Toronto, New York, London, Istanbul, Barcelona, Miami. Designer outfits for every appearance. Soho House lifestyle costs. Yacht week accommodations. Hair. Makeup. High-end styling. The number hit him like a blow. $70,000 a year. And Meghan's income wouldn't have covered even half of it. Someone had been financing her climb. And once Harry saw the money trail, he couldn't look away. By then, it felt like his entire life story had been rewritten without his knowledge. But nothing prepared him for what came next. One morning, he did something he hadn't done since the wedding. He went into his office, opened a drawer, and pulled out the official guest list. All 600 names, neatly organized into categories by his team and Meghan's. He had never really examined Meghan's side before. This time he did. He had trusted her. But now, looking with new eyes, what he saw shattered the last traces of innocence he had left. Marcus Anderson, front row. Jessica Malrin, Soho House regular. Misha Nono, the one who arranged the blind date, also a member. Serena Williams, another member. Executives, influencers, people photographed with Meghan at Soho House events long before Harry had even entered the picture. Harry grabbed a highlighter, then another, and another. Out of 200 guests on Meghan's side, more than 60 were directly tied to Soho House. These weren't childhood friends. They weren't coworkers. They weren't Hollywood colleagues. They were her network. The very people who had watched her climb through the system Marcus had built. Then Harry saw a photo from the reception. Marcus, standing with 4 Soho House executives, all holding champagne, all smiling like people who had completed a mission. Harry realized something he wished he could unsee. His wedding hadn't been a celebration of love. It had been a summit, a gathering of the network that had built her, the network that had brought her to him. Sleep disappeared. Appetite disappeared. His days became consumed with searching, checking, cross-referencing, trying to breathe normally through the panic now lodged permanently in his chest. But there was one thing he still hadn't touched. One thing he had avoided for years. His voicemail archive. And suddenly, a quiet memory he had buried deep inside him came rushing back. William had left him messages before the engagement, and Harry never listened to them. Now, with shaking hands, he scrolled through years of old recordings, reminders, and forgotten notes. Then he saw it. November 2017. A voicemail he clearly remembered ignoring out of anger. He pressed play. William's voice filled the room, calm, firm, almost pleading. Harry, you need to hear this. Palace security ran background checks. Meghan has been part of the Soho House circle for years. Marcus Anderson's reputation is well known. He places women. She's been photographed with men connected to your world since 2014. This isn't random. Please look into this before you propose. Harry froze. He played it again. Then again. His brother hadn't been jealous. He hadn't been controlling. He hadn't been attacking Meghan. He had been warning him, with information. Harry found 2 more voicemails. In one, William said security had flagged Meghan at events tied to Harry's charity donors. In another, he warned again that Marcus had deep links to Harry's inner circle. Harry had deleted them all without listening. Blinded by love. Convinced everyone was trying to sabotage his happiness. But William hadn't been trying to hurt him. He had been trying to protect him. And Harry had shut him out. That realization broke something inside him. Now Harry lies awake most nights, staring at the ceiling, replaying the last 10 years in his mind. Every smile, every coincidence, every introduction, every moment that once felt like fate. He asks himself the same question over and over. Was any of it real? Or was he just the final piece in a long, carefully planned arrangement? The truth he once refused to face now whispers to him in the dark. Meghan didn't stumble into his world. She climbed into it step by step, guided, funded, positioned, hand in hand with Marcus Anderson. And Harry, the boy who spent his life wanting to be chosen for who he was, finally understands something devastating. He wasn't chosen. He was targeted. And that realization is the nightmare he lives with now.